Have you ever watched the person you love most in the world laugh with someone else and felt a piece of your soul just die? I did. I was standing across the street from my wife Sarah's office, holding a bouquet of her favorite lilies. When I saw her, she was leaning against a sleek black Audi, laughing up at a man I'd never seen before. It wasn't just a friendly laugh. It was the kind of laugh she used to share only with me, full of light and intimacy. Then he leaned in, and she didn't pull away. My world shattered right there on that Chicago sidewalk. What happened next would unravel a web of lies so deep it would end in her complete and utter ruin. If you're ready for a story of betrayal and ice-cold revenge, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss how this ends. It started subtly. Late nights at the office, which wasn't unusual for her high-powered marketing job. But then came the hushed phone calls she'd take in the other room, the way she'd angle her phone away from me on the couch. I told myself I was being paranoid. This was Sarah, my Sarah. We'd built a life together over 10 years. We were the couple everyone envied, the ones who still held hands, who finished each other's sentences. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. The day I saw her with him, everything clicked into place. The new, expensive lingerie she'd bought, claiming it was to spice things up for us. The sudden interest in a new gym on the other side of town. The work trips that left me with a hollow feeling in my gut. I went home that day and threw the lilies in the trash. The scent I once loved now smelled like deceit. That night when she came home, she was glowing. She kissed me on the cheek, a quick, dismissive peck, and told me about a huge new client she'd landed. She was a phenomenal liar. I played along, congratulating her, my heart a block of ice in my chest. My initial reaction was pure, white-hot rage. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront her and watch her perfect facade crumble. But as I lay in our bed that night, listening to her steady breathing, a different feeling took over. A cold, calculating calm. She didn't deserve my anger. She deserved a consequence. She had humiliated me in secret. I would destroy her in public. My grief hardened into a single sharp purpose: revenge. The first step was to gather evidence. I wasn't a tech expert, but desperation is a powerful teacher. I installed monitoring software on our home computer and a GPS tracker on her car. It felt disgusting, a violation of the man I used to be. But the man I used to be was a fool. Within days, the evidence flooded in. Text messages filled with nauseating pet names and explicit plans, hotel receipts, GPS data that showed her car parked for hours at a time at a luxury condo building in Lincoln Park. Not at her late-night client meetings. The man's name was Mark. A quick online search revealed he was a senior partner at a rival firm. He was rich, smug, and married. His wife, a woman named Emily, was a prominent philanthropist, often featured in local society magazines. Sarah wasn't just having an affair. She was the other woman in a high-stakes game. The arrogance was breathtaking. They messaged each other about their clueless spouses, laughing at my predictable work schedule and his wife's charity galas. They called me Mr. Reliable and his wife the Saint. The humiliation burned, fueling my resolve. I didn't just want to expose them. I wanted to orchestrate their downfall. Spent the next 2 months living a double life. To Sarah, I was the same loving, slightly oblivious husband. I made her dinner, asked about her day, and listened to her fabricated stories with a patient smile. Inside, I was a general planning a war. I documented everything: screenshots of texts, photos of her car at his condo, copies of hotel bills. I created a detailed timeline of their affair, a meticulous ledger of her betrayal. The centerpiece of my plan became her job. Sarah was incredibly proud of her career. She'd just been promoted to vice president of marketing at one of Chicago's top agencies. She was giving a keynote presentation at a huge industry conference in 3 weeks. The entire Chicago marketing world would be there. Her boss, her colleagues, her clients, her rivals, everyone. It was her moment of triumph. It was going to be her moment of judgment. My plan had 2 phases. Phase 1 was for Mark. I compiled a neat little package for his wife, Emily. It contained a curated selection of the most damning evidence. Photos of Mark and Sarah kissing outside his office, a few of their more romantic text exchanges. And the GPS logs showing his car parked overnight at a hotel near O. Hair on a night he'd supposedly been on a business trip to New York. I sent it anonymously via a courier, timed to arrive the morning of Sarah's big conference. Phase 2 was for Sarah. This was the main event. I knew she practiced her presentation on our shared home computer. The night before the conference, after she went to bed, glowing with excitement and anticipation, I went to work. I embedded my own slides into her presentation file. They were hidden, set to appear at the very end of her triumphant final slide, triggered by a single click. The day of the conference arrived. Sarah was a bundle of confident energy. She kissed me goodbye, saying, "Wish me luck. Today's the day I own this city." I smiled back, a perfectly supportive husband. "You'll be amazing," I said. Knock him dead. The irony was lost on her. I didn't go to the conference. I didn't need to. I had a better seat. I had already contacted a junior employee at Sarah's company, a young man she had publicly belittled a few months prior. For a small price, he agreed to livestream the presentation to a private link just for me. I sat in our empty living room, the room we had built together, and watched on my laptop. Sarah was brilliant. She was charismatic, polished, and powerful. The audience was captivated. She moved toward her conclusion, her voice swelling with confidence as she spoke about integrity and building trust with clients. She reached her final slide, a big, bold statement about her agency's vision for the future. The room erupted in applause. She beamed, soaking it in. "And one more thing," she said, her smile dazzling as she clicked the remote one last time. My slides appeared on the massive screen behind her. The first was a photo of her and Mark, locked in an embrace, under the title Integrity. The audience's applause sputtered and died. A confused murmur rippled through the hall. Sarah's smile froze. She stared at the screen, her face draining of all color. Before she could react, the slide changed. It was a screenshot of her texts with Mark, the one where they called me Mr. Reliable. The murmur grew into audible gasps. The slideshow continued automatically. A photo of her car at his condo. A picture of them at a hotel bar. Another text, this one mocking Mark's wife, the saint. On screen, Sarah was paralyzed, a deer in the headlights of her own making. Her confident posture collapsed. Her hands began to tremble. And then, the moment I had been waiting for, a woman stood up in the front row. It was Emily, Mark's wife. She looked regal, her face a mask of cold fury. She walked calmly onto the stage, took the microphone from Sarah's limp hand. I turned to the stunned audience. "My name is Emily," she announced, her voice ringing with clarity and power. "And I'd like to thank Sarah for finally showing me, and all of you, what building trust really means to her." That's when Sarah broke. A gut-wrenching sob escaped her lips. She covered her face and stumbled backward, completely undone. The carefully constructed world of the successful, powerful woman she pretended to be had been demolished in front of everyone who mattered. The live stream caught it all. The pointing, the whispers, her utter humiliation as security escorted her, weeping, off the stage. I closed the laptop. The silence in the apartment was deafening. There was no joy, no triumphant cheer, just a profound, hollow quiet. I had one. I'd gotten my revenge. I had taken everything from her, just as she had taken my trust, my love, my future. I packed a single bag, leaving behind the life we had shared, and walked out the door without looking back. The last thing I heard was the sound of my own footsteps echoing in the empty hall.